What's going on, everybody? This is Professor Crypto Banana. In today's video, I got a special guest with me. He goes by the name of Captain Crouton, but most of you probably know him as Drake on Digital. Welcome to the channel. I'm excited to bring you on here and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Word up. I'm honored to be here, man. Basically, I just like to make cryptocurrency videos. It's just a hobby that I got into. I really saw the disruptive technology with cryptocurrency because me personally, I have my own business and I saw the problems with the business. Sure, you can stay small. I started to grow my business to a point to where you realize how much centralization there really is. Like it goes from having to have your own payment processor, having to have your own bank, your own electric company, cell phone provider, internet company, because you hit data limits and data usage with these different companies. And what happens is when you get to a limit, there really isn't quote unquote unlimited for a lot of these companies. And then even with like banking or with credit card processing, they start charging exorbitant fees and they get to the point where, hey, I'm sorry, we can't do business with you any longer because we see you. Well, actually, they say, sorry, we can't do business with you. But really what they're saying is, hey, sorry, you're getting too big. We cannot allow you to do business with us. This is why you see a lot of companies like PayPal, Square, Facebook, Zillow, they have no challengers. The reason why they have no challengers is because the infrastructure is built to where there can be no challengers. They always get shut down and it's very hard to do so. It's very centralized. Now, when I saw that, I was like, there's got to be a better way. I'm sitting here beating my head against the wall, and I saw this thing called Bitcoin. And I was like, this is interesting. This is cool. It literally is like number go up, and then it goes down, and then people are like, what the snap? And I'm like, I think it's kind of cool. And then I looked into this thing called Ethereum, and then Ethereum was like, this is pretty interesting. So I was like, well, it has an infinite supply. This is before EIP 1559. And I was like, well, I think I'm just going to stick with Bitcoin because Ethereum is just an infinite supply. Then we got rumors at EIP 1559. And I was like, wow, this could definitely be something because I saw a major issue with Bitcoin. The issue with Bitcoin is it runs off rewards. So if the rewards are like when they run out at a certain time, everyone says it's like 2140, but still, the rewards are going to be so minuscule, I'd say in 2100 or even 2120, miners won't be incentivized to mine. Now, I know people are like, oh, it'll be by the fees. Well, if you look at Bitcoin like digital gold, I don't go to the store or I don't go to places to buy junk with my quote unquote digital gold. So who's going to be paying the fees? Nobody. So I saw there was an issue with having it being sustainable. So I looked into Ethereum. I'm like, okay, look, there is an inflation rate, but now they have EIP 1559. And if there's enough transactions, it'll actually be deflationary. And if it's too deflationary, people will stop doing transactions, which will allow it to be inflationary again, and then it'll allow more people to get in. It's why we have the dollar. The dollar has infinite inflation. Same thing with gold and silver. There's a reason why those are good stores of value because they have a quote unquote controlled rate of inflation, maybe not the dollar, but gold and silver. You can only mine it so fast. And when I was looking at this Ethereum, I was like, this is like cool stuff. Like they have airdrops, Uniswap. Like, how do I get into this? And I saw this thing called DeFi. And I'm like, okay, I can play a bit, but let me just try this Uniswap. So I started flipping altcoins, buying different ones. And this was early enough to where it was like you can buy any altcoin you wanted and you can make like a 5x, 6x, 7x, and it was like, this is great. I love it. I was paying gas fees like 0.2 ETH or 0.02 ETH, and it didn't matter at the time because Ethereum was like $800 at the time, so I really didn't care. So it was cheap, but 0.02 ETH now is like, what the snap? It's like 6 times as much, and you're paying gas fees that are ridiculous. Right. And I got finished flipping those coins. Matic, Polygon came out with the liquidity mining. Actually, I did do the Binance Smart Chain junk. I played around with PancakeSwap. Someone was like, dude, yeah, you stake your cake, you earn, or you get syrup, and then you earn cake with it, and you stake your cake and earn more cake. And I'm like, okay, I can play. So I played around with it. I made some money with it, and I was like, this thing's cool. This thing's different. There's something about it. I went into a bunch of other Ponzi ones. There was like Kebab Finance. There's I did do the Iron Finance junk. There's a bunch of them. And then the Polygon little spiel came out. That was Iron Finance with Polygon. And I was like, okay, this one's got a really good liquidity mining incentive. Binance Smart Chain didn't have that incentive. On Matic, I remember going on Aave, and I was literally, I just looped the tokens. I would throw in some stable coins, borrow some stable coins, and throw in some more. And I was earning like 1,000, 1,500 Matic every single week. And I was like, dude, this is like taking candy from a baby. It's so easy. And then everyone started coming in, and then I was like, you know what? I think I should start covering this instead of talking about altcoins. So I started doing DeFi videos, and then people were like, whoa, that's so cool, man. What's the next one? What are some cool farms? Can you teach me about this? And I'm like, well, how about I just make a video for you? So I just started making more videos on those. I stopped mainly just doing altcoins. And I'm a math guy, so I look at this stuff and I'm like, okay, well, if this equals this, then this equals that. And I'm spending this much and I'm making this much. I have a profit, so I'm good. Let's do it. I don't know. Just ADHD numbers. I like this junk. So that's kind of my story on it. Kind of a long story, but it's fun.
No, that's great. That's great. I think like we're going to be pulling up a DeFi Llama and just kind of like showing the story. And I think that adds up. So you kind of gave a past history of where you came from with Bitcoin, Ethereum, 2Hive gas fees. Now you got into DeFi. Okay, here's a tough question. Where do you see everything going? I'm talking like it's very hard to predict, too far out into the future. But what about 1 year? Where do you see ourselves in 1 year in terms of like what is kind of the trends? Because there's ohm forks, right? And there's layer ones, layer twos, and bridging is becoming a thing, right? And you can borrow against assets and put it into your bank. But in the meantime, your crypto is getting interest, which is like, whoa, and maybe banks are taking a look. And anyways, I'm going on and on. But what are your thoughts about where we'll be in about like a year?
So I have a couple thoughts. We're going to see a wave with DeFi 2.0. There's also going to be some other things as well. I kind of made a video on that, I think it was like a week ago. But we're definitely going to see let me cover the three and then I'll go into DeFi 2.0 because I think this one's going to be pretty important. Okay. The first one is decentralized stablecoins. You have USDC, you have Tether. Those have very exorbitant market caps. I see a lot of those flooding into things like Frax, UST. I wouldn't really say Ampleforth as much, but Celo Dollar, like CUSD. And I see people flooding to that because they realize that funds can be frozen, especially when a hack goes through. I mean, even on the Grim Finance hack, I see you talking about Tomb Finance, so you've probably heard about that. Some people got hacked in that. Yeah, some people got hacked in that. And what happened was Grim was reaching out to USDC or Circle and was like, hey, freeze the funds. Great, that's awesome and all. But I mean, just look deeper into that. Great, freeze the funds. Wait, what? You can freeze my money? The reason why I'm in crypto is because I want decentralization. So we're going to see a wave in decentralized stablecoins. There's ways you can play it. You can, like, for example, UST, you use Luna. For example, Frax, you use FXS. Or let's say, for example, Vader, with the USDV, you use Vader. It's just things like that. So decentralized stablecoins is the first. Second is going to be GameFi. Now, it's not as simple as just creating a Ponzi farm. Guys, you had to look at these like Ponzi's. This is just how they roll. I mean, they're basically a Ponzi until proven different. You almost have to fake it till you make it. In reality, though, the definition of them is you're looking for someone else to get in. I mean, why do you buy Bitcoin? No one says it's to save the world or like whatever. No, people buy Bitcoin because the number go up. It's the reality of it. So with these farms, it's not as simple as just creating a farm and then just saying deposit this token with this token into this pool. Some people don't even understand that. They can't comprehend like it's a 50-50 pair. But someone can comprehend you pair seeds with dirt and you deposit it into a pot and you're like, whoa, it grows a tree. This is so cool. And the tree gives me fruit and I pick them and then I sell them. Okay, I get it. It's awesome. I get it. It's like makes sense. So you're going to have a wave of GameFi. And it creates a more sustainable farm because now instead of having, okay, I'm in it for the money. I'm here to farm, dump, farm, dump, farm, dump. You're actually creating exit liquidity because people find entertainment in these games just like you do in, I don't know, World of Warcraft. I just remember in RuneScape, you had to buy like membership cards and pay for that junk. And that money just goes to thin air. It goes to the company. Whereas instead of the company getting the money, it's going to be like the quote unquote, for example, DeFi Kingdoms, the jewel holders, or for example, Axe Infinity, the Axie holders. So you can actually be the quote unquote game or the developing company. So looking at these protocols, GameFi is going to change the way you look at farming. I see that as a wave. There's going to be a ton more forks coming out, and it's not going to be like the .com bubble, as in like .com, but it will be like, hey, we're a game now. You're going to start seeing these dexes just say, yeah, we're a game now, or going along with the quote unquote curve tokenomics, which is the DeFi 2.0 part, where the third thing I want to talk about is creating or having DAOs that capture value. Now, Curve captures value because it creates a flywheel to where if you want to keep playing these games and having good rewards, you must deposit your tokens back into there. You can't cash out. So you have this funny money that's just staked that you can't touch. So you think you really have that money, but you don't, because it's locked up, and you have to lock it up to get these other incentives to constantly keep farming. If you guys haven't tried Curve or Spirit Swap, you guys will understand it. You'll get the dopamine and be like, my stack is getting big. Bro, your stack, you can't touch that stack, but your rewards are pretty good. So you're going to have things like that. And then different protocols changing the way farming happens, which is additional DeFi 2.0, which is like Tokemak. So are you familiar with Tokemak?
A little bit. It's kind of like you vote on the reactors, and then based on a certain amount gets filled up, then they deploy it to that certain spot. Is that kind of close? But
yep. So do you know what happens on the back end with that?
not a clue.
Okay. So let me give you this. I'll give you this example. So here's how Tokemak works. Say let's just call my farm, we're going to use as an example, Sushi Swap. I need to release my Sushi token because no one's going to go into my protocol if I don't release Sushi tokens. I mean, just think about it. I'm a farmer. I want to earn rewards, so I'll deposit my tokens with you to earn rewards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is their incentive for using Sushi, is they give Sushi tokens.
Right.
With Tokemak, you can flip that on the head. You can say, all right, guys, if you're a Sushi holder or if you're an LP token holder, what you need to do is you need to go over to Tokemak. You need to deposit your tokens over there, and you're going to get these T tokens. So, well, I'm sorry, not the protocol tokens, but the Sushi token. You take these farming tokens, you deposit there, and you're going to earn TOKE. Now, if you don't want to earn your TOKE and you just want to earn your Sushi and be happy, when you deposit into TOKE, you're going to get the T Sushi. So what we're going to do over here on Sushi is we're going to create a pool that is for the T Sushi tokens. So I deposit my T Sushi in there, but what's happening on the back end is, yeah, I'm still getting my Sushi rewards. I'm happy, but now Sushi is able to capture more value because on the other end, since I gave them my quote unquote T Sushi token, they're earning TOKE rewards, which TOKE is a protocol that directs liquidity. So now that I have these quote unquote T Sushi tokens earning my protocol, which is Sushi, Tokemak, I'm going to take my TOKE, I'm going to stake it over in TOKE, and then I'm going to say, hey, I own 10% of your network. I need 10% of your liquidity coming my way now. So then 10% is going to come my way now. I'm going to have some more Bitcoin, more ETH to play with, whatever. I can use it into my farm. I can even give extra incentives, which will create people to be like, bro, this guy is paying some good rewards. I need to deposit more T Sushi. So they go get some more T Sushi. I earn more TOKE. I deposit TOKE. And then I deposit my TOKE. I now direct more liquidity, creating that flywheel that just constantly keeps going. And the flywheel is able to keep going on Tokemak because people are giving their Bitcoin and Ethereum or whatever other tokens that they have, and they're paying a really high APR over there, and people are happy with it, and they're farming TOKE over there. Now, they can dump their TOKE too, but if they're a project and they're like, bro, we just got a bunch of Bitcoin and ETH, it's just sitting on the side, how about we just get some TOKE and then direct more Bitcoin and ETH our way? It's that flywheel. It's a constant flywheel, so it's basically creating a curve flywheel for every protocol that wants to interoperate with Tokemak. Look at Tokemak. You'll see like a list of literally 100 different legit projects. You got like Tracer DAO, you got Ohm, you got Sushi, you got Frax. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And even Phantom and Thorchain. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. Because I've done a lot of videos about Liquid Driver, and they seem to be doing the same thing with Spirit Swap. So I've done other videos about that. So this seems to be kind of how to say it. There's different seasons, right? Because it started off with a bunch of different stuff, and then I see Ohm forks, and then there's Tomb forks, and then what is the flavor of the week? And we had a discussion earlier, but essentially, I like what you say about keeping things sticky. Like the projects that can have people that actually hold on to the tokens is pretty much what's going to win. And pretty much from what you're describing, what I'm understanding is like people have a sense of like, ooh, I'm generating income. I can get even like more income and then keep that going. But nevertheless, what you do in DeFi, it's the same thing. Essentially, projects hopefully have some utility. Maybe they generate a little bit of revenue, and they just need people to hold on to the tokens. It can be in different styles. It could be like, hey, we're a DAO, we're an Ohm fork, whatever it may be. But the fact is, main question at the end of the day, how can you get users to hold on to the token? And there's certain projects, they actually gather a community, they get people to hold it. And then there's other ones that's just farm and dump. You see it on the charts and you say, I ain't touching this, or maybe I'll risk a little bit. And then you see your profits go down and you're like, I'm out. That's how I see it.
And you know what I say to that?
What's that?
This guy gets it.
Hey!
As in like you. This guy gets it.
Thank you. Oh man. Well, I appreciate that. That means I'm glad that I'm on the right track here.
Dude, you got it. You figured out the Ponzonomics. Now how can you game them?
Well, see, and I chucked a different idea at you, and it'll just be like a brief summary, but I did a different video where if you could have like a DAO that purposely gets into only projects that most people cannot get into because maybe the tokenomics is really great, or it has that sticky liquidity, or people actually want to keep those rewards, but they don't have the ability to get in. So strong nodes is one example. A lot of people love it, but it's extremely expensive to get in. Let's say Jewel with the Genesis Zero Heroes, they want to get in on that. However, I do see, okay, you know what? I'm going to share my screen. I think we may have to split this up into two different videos because I definitely want to talk to you about Jewel, but at the same time, Andre from the Phantom side, he partnered up with Daniele, and I got to understand this correctly, but they're doing like locked tokens, but putting them into the form of NFTs. So then that way you can still be liquid, but then it's still locked up. And I'm pondering if this is going to be like the new flavor. Again, we talk about like sticky liquidity, but I'm seeing that. I'm like, oh, maybe this could be something.
So it is getting something like that. So you have Liquid Driver, which is Lend Spirit, and then you have End Spirit, which is Stake Spirit, which you can't do anything with. That is literally just an NFT that's non-transferable. Well, it's not an NFT. It's non-transferable. When you create it into an NFT like Uniswap, when you go on Uniswap v3, they've already had this technology deployed. I'm not sure if Andre is creating a different. I'm sure he is. That guy's brilliant. But when you have these, like say for example, you pull on Uniswap v3. I want to deposit USDC and ETH between the range of $2,000 and $3,000. That NFT is only good for that range. I can make a second NFT between 1,000 and 2,000. And it'll only earn rewards between those ratios when I have tokens deposited into that pool. So what, in my opinion, what I think Andre and Danny are going to be doing is similar to, I'm not sure which project they're going to be doing it on, but I'm sure they're going to come up with some creative ideas. Both Danny and Andre, those guys are brilliant. But basically, you're going to look at something like, they're probably going to create something that's like a NFT that is transferable, that has tokenomics like Curve, that I'm sure Andre will say, hey, Daniele, let's leverage your platform, Abracadabra, so we can borrow MEM against it and leverage it. I mean, it's just degen style at heart, but they're going to mix these two things together, or they may even take something across, like using something with their rarity game. Like you have to have a certain NFT I don't know. This is really all just speculation what they'll do. But whenever I have speculation or whenever I see someone disrupting something, I just look for the projects that they are developing and I invest in those projects. I just get behind the people. I always invest in people, not Ponzi's. Well, sometimes I like to have fun with the Ponzi, but I try to stick with the people.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, Daniele, Andre, man, they, like Keeper, a lot of people are like kind of under the radar. I think it's kind of like picking up steam because what was it? It's more for coming up with stable coins, but not in the US dollar, but different ones. And then you get like fixed Forex exchanges. Yeah, and that's a huge market, and then having that ability. I don't even know how to do Forex trading, but I could definitely figure it out on the crypto side, so I could definitely see that being big. And yeah, the innovation. So I'm actually taking it one step further. I'm like, okay, they do that creative aspect that you discussed about like the NFTs and trying to like leverage that up. Are there going to be copycats? And then maybe, because there's certain things where they do a fork, and if you capture like the first fork, could be profitable. Oh, by the way, everything in this video, not financial advice, but I should disclose that. But like you catch the fork, the first one, and for a short time, potentially you can make a really great profit. You know what I'm saying? So I wonder if you see something that's like really disruptive on a good way, and other projects start to copy it, then you hop on that and do it for the short time. Again, I'm just spitballing, but then I want to also see the next evolution. Like what will happen after that? Is there a way to predict it, see that, help out? Maybe the NFTs. Oh, okay. I'm going to tie it all together. I got excited. What if you could do like those NFTs in that decentralized exchange and gamify it that way, where they can actually do stuff, but then they're also carrying the value. And then if you were to do like a PvP, and then you lose the NFT, like that is a wager right there.
That could be pretty interesting. That could definitely be interesting. Either way, I mean, I don't know. I'm down for whatever they come up with. I know he's going to try to deploy it on Phantom. I mean, Daniele has already talked about that, and Andre's talked about it, and Phantom is basically his baby. But I guess going back to your question with the forks, we are going to have a bunch of forks with GameFi. People are going to fork like DeFi Kingdoms or forking. I wouldn't say Axie Infinity. I mean, some will. There's already a bunch of Axie Infinity forks. In fact, DeFi Kingdoms got some of their concepts. Obviously, a lot of them are original, but I mean, like 5-6% of the concepts they got were actually from Axie Infinity. But they put a whole new twist on it. You're going to see it with these forks, and there's nothing wrong with having a fork and a twist. It just kind of proves the initial concept. Like Wonderland Time, that's a fork of Ohm. It just proves the initial concept. So if you see these forks doing really successful, then you kind of got to look back at the one that was forked and you're like, wait, if these forks are doing something, what's the original one going to do? What's going to happen when all the money is gone? Is the original one going to keep running? Because it's the community. Whereas the other one, which is the fork, they create it because they saw it was successful, and it's a Ponzi. People are in it for the money. But you can create theses around these different Ponzi's. For example, there is, I talk about this one in the Discord. I haven't made a public video on it. It's kind of degen. I'll talk about it on the channel, on this channel for you, so your viewers can check it out. But it's Unite Finance. This is on Harmony. And I have a thesis that it's a tomb fork. Now, a lot of tomb forks come out there and they're just like different Ponzi's. Now, the reason why Tomb, in my opinion, is something that is actually trying to do something is because I understand Harry has a huge bag of Phantom. In order for him to sell his Phantom, he needs to create exit liquidity. There's a problem with Phantom. Most of it's locked in DeFi. Most of it's being locked staking, and there's a bunch that are sitting on exchanges. Hence why whenever Phantom pumps or dumps, like I wouldn't say dumps, but more so pumps, people have trouble withdrawing from exchanges. They're suspended. It's the same thing with Harmony 1. A lot of Harmony 1 tokens are locked up on exchanges and they're locked up in these liquidity pools. So people cannot trade with Harmony 1. So what happens is these exchanges close it down. So what Unite Finance is doing, this is an extreme degen play, guys. Do not get into this if you're not ready to lose money. This is just a thesis and it's a complete educated gamble. What happens is with Harmony 1, it needs more liquidity. So what Unite Finance is doing is it has a Unite token, which is pegged to Harmony 1. So it's just like the same Tomb Finance protocol, and it is actually able to print And I think this will help with some of the liquidity issues, especially when they find someone like Harry. This is still in its extreme early stages, but if you look at Tomb Finance, the reason why that one's still up is because they have someone like Harry Ye. This one on Harmony, you need to have someone like Harry Ye backstopping it. In the meantime, it may be able to print for a couple weeks or even a couple days or a couple of hours. I don't know. It's all speculation, but it's a calculated thesis and a bet that I have. And the devs, they seem cool, so it's like, we'll see what happens. But you just make your thesis around, I guess you can say, a fork. And if you figure out a thesis that works for it, then it'll work for you. There's another one like on Arbitrum called Farmland Game. Now, I had a thesis around this, like I was like, I made a video on it like 2 months ago. It's printing like nuts and ham for me right now. But I had a thesis like, man, this is like before its time. It created this was like even before Wolf Game. They created a smart contract to where you deposit your land tokens, you use the land to farm corn, and the longer you keep the land, the more you get the corn. But however, you can take that corn, compost it, and earn even more corn. And it's kind of like nerdy junk, but they created a GameFi to it to where it's like, okay, we don't just deposit, we claim, dump. Instead, it's like you deposit, you claim, you figure out, do you want to compost, do you want to dump, do you want to LP, do you want to just hold it, speculating people are going to compost more so then you can dump it later? It's literally GameFi. So it creates people to be like, bro, this is kind of cool. And then they created NFTs around it to where you can deploy your farmer, earn more rewards, and it's like, whoa. It's just stuff like that.
And I think in that same video that you mentioned, you also stated that you got to keep it simple. And you mentioned it just now too. So you got to keep it simple. If you talk about LP tokens and permanent loss goes over people's heads, right? And a lot of the Tomb forks about like, okay, keeping it pegged. They're like, I don't get it. But you're like, all right, listen, you get you some more corn, composite that, then you get more land. You get more land, you get more corn. You want in, and they're like, yeah, and that's it. That's all it is. And
that's how it rolls, man.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But listen, I want to hopefully split up this video into 2 parts. So I'm hoping that we can conclude on this one, and then the next video talk about Jewel.
That works. Right? Let's do it. You can find me on YouTube. Crypto Banana's got it up right there. Or on Twitter. I started a Twitter because everyone was like, bro, you need a Twitter. I'm like, you know what? I'll just use my real estate Twitter. So it's at Rent a Home Fast. Literally at Rent a Home Fast. Nothing crazy, but those are really the only 2 social media platforms I'm on. Facebook says I don't exist, and what's the other one? Oh, Spotify. I did start a Spotify. That one slowly. I just randomly post videos on there, but mainly just YouTube.
And you got a Discord channel too as well, correct?
Discord, yes. There's both a public Telegram and a private Discord group. The public Telegram, that one anyone can join. I pop in there from time to time. That one is free for anyone to jump in. I just wanted to create a place for a bunch of degens who couldn't really afford the Discord to be able to chat in a place. And then there is a private group where I like to talk about different strategies, like Unite Finance. We were talking about this last week. I talk about a lot of cryptocurrency plays, different things I'm doing in the market, and I talk about mainly just exclusive content that I don't really show on YouTube. So if you like the videos I make or like the things I talk about, there's basically that times 10 in Discord. And then there's a bunch of other people that are way smarter than me in Discord. So you can chat with a bunch of them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Drake's got a lot of good stuff out here. He talks about projects, and there's certain times where I'm like, hey, you should really check this out. And then he'll be like, yeah, by the way, I did do a video on that 3 months ago. I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, my bad, my bad. I got to bring down that ego a little bit. So, but yeah, definitely check out his stuff. And in order to keep up with tradition and to feel at home, how about we leave the audience with a one-liner?
Let's go.
We'll do another one on the next video too. All right, take it away.
There's no wisdom, no insight, no plan that can succeed against the Lord. Let that sink in, guys. Why do you think he always wins it out? Not financial advice, of course.
Correct. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to put a pause on this video and then come check us out on part 2.